In this video, we're going to talk about various different errors that you need to look out for when modeling. So we see here we've got a chair. I think many of you guys might have seen this when I was doing it in class. So we'll start off with some quite simple stuff. We'll start off with non-maniform geometry. This is geometry that couldn't exist in the real world. So for instance, we'll go to this chair leg here. I'll just make a quick change to it. If I move it here, you'll see that it kind of intersects and kind of phases through the other side of the object. Now you can kind of see that it's just kind of floating over there, the back side of the faces are kind of showing, and it doesn't really look natural. Non-maniform geometry is basically objects or parts of an object that couldn't exist in the real world. So for instance, a chair leg doesn't phase through the other half of it now, does it? No, it doesn't happen. So we need to make sure that it looks correct, so about here. So it's just basically going in and kind of just moving those faces or edges down. I think there might be another one here. Don't think there's one up here. There is one up here, for instance. So for example, like the corner of the chair wouldn't kind of phase through that, would it? Now would it? You have to kind of go in and just slowly put it back into place. But we'll leave that for now. Another issue that you might walk into is reversed normals. So you might have just saw it now, I just reversed these normals here. Now what are normals? Normals basically calculate how light is bounced off an object or bounced off the faces, edges and vertices. Now you see right now this is black, the rest of it is grey. That's because the normals have been reversed, so they're pointing in the because they're pointing in the opposite direction, the lighting will bounce on the other side rather than the face that we want it to. So if I go to display polygons, face normals. Before you go to face normals, you may want to go to normal size and change the size of the normals, make it bigger. I've already done it beforehand. So go to face normals. That's it. You need to make sure that you're in object mode first. Face normals. There you go. And you can see that you can just about see these lines. You can change the size of them. If you go to normal size, just kind of increase it a little bit. There we go. So you see that there's these green lines that are pointing out other faces. That's the direction that the normals are facing. So you need to be facing outwards so that the light can bounce off it, so that we can see it. It actually creates its form and its shape. Because if you put it into a game engine now, those black faces wouldn't exist. We wouldn't see them unless we got inside the model and we would see them from this angle. So you can see here that the normals are in the wrong direction. So what you do is you go to face, select those black faces there, go to mesh display and reverse. So you can see now they're pointing in the right direction. And you can go back to object mode, display, polygons. You can turn off the faces. So another one here, you can see that all of these edges and vertices are kind of just like overlapping each other. You kind of want to make sure that they're all consistent. If you look at the top here, for instance, you see that everything is quite uniform, quite nice and straight. You want to do the same thing here as well. So you may accidentally overlap a few edges or vertices. So all you're going to do is just hold down the right mouse button, select vertex, and just move them back into place, like so. Just kind of get it more unified, make it look correct. Can take a bit of time to kind of get it to work. A bit of a rush hour at the moment, but again, it's just for an example. Try to line them up as best as you can. So I think these two would have to go all the way across here. Yeah, perfect. And over here, you'll see that there are no edges and vertices. Now, when working in 3D, you need to make sure that you're either working in quads, which is faces with 4 sides, or tris, which are faces with 3 sides. The reason why you want to work in either of those is because, one, game engines always convert your models into triangles. So a lot of times when you're working in, say, 3ds Max or Maya or Blender, you're usually working in quads, and when you export it out into Unity, Unreal 4, it automatically triangulates it for you. Another reason why you want to have it in quads is because if you want to do a high detail sculpt version of your object, it has to be in quads. ZBrush and Mudbox do not like triangles. You have to make sure that you have objects which have only 4 sides on it. So if I go to edges, for instance, you'll see that this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 sides, and that's not great at all. These vertex are pretty much floating. Again, two vertices create an edge. At the moment, we've got one vertex here, one vertex there, and there's no edge that is shared between them. So what we need to do is, in the top right hand corner here with the little cube and hammer, this is your modeling toolkit. What we want to use is the multi-cut. Basically, this allows you to cut up your object and also reconnect any floating vertices. So see right now that if I hover over any of these vertices, you can see it kind of snaps across. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select that vertex there, select the one on the opposite side. You see that right now there is a edge about to be created. It gives you a preview. It gives you a preview right now. All you got to do is press enter, and you can see now that we have created a new edge. So just go in and do the same here. Yep, that's fixed it as well. And again, the same sort of thing is with faces with holes in them. You can see here that again, if I go to face, sorry, not face, for the edge, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, already it's above the minimum of 3 or 4 sides. And again, if you look at the vertices, they're just floating in place. They need to be connected. Again, you have to have vertices connected to an edge. At the moment, these aren't connected up. So an easy way to fix this is that I can just click these faces here, delete them, go to the append to polygon tool under the mesh tools, click this open edge here, opposite end, press enter, and just fix that face there. So let's, for example, say that this model is now clean. It's almost ready to be sent out to a game engine, but there is one thing that we're missing so far, and that is freezing the transformations. So if I just scale this up, for instance, right now, you'll see that when I scale it up, the scale increases here, so you can see it's at 1.083, 1.083, 1.083 across. Now, if I export it out into Unity or Unreal 4, that information will stay the same as well. Same with the rotation and the translation as well. Now, if this model is complete, you want to go to Modify, Freeze Transformation, and you'll see that it all goes back to 1, and these will all go back to 0 as well. The reason being is because you want it all at basic reset. You basically clean the object, so that way, when you're trying to mess around with rotations or its scale, you don't have to kind of like divide 173 scale in half. You know, it just makes things a lot easier. And even here with the inputs, you'll see that Maya remembers every single step that you take, and that's just adding to the cache, basically all the memory. Maya's having to remember all this stuff, and it's just increasing our file type for absolutely no reason. So the easiest thing we can do is to get rid of all this. So what you need to do is you select your object, you go to Edit, Delete by Type, History, or if you want to do it for the entire scene, you can delete all by type history. So see, there is nothing in there in the inputs. This is now a completely clean model. However, it's not. I would say to also make sure to name your model appropriately as well. So maybe I'll just call this chair. You see, mine says box modeling, and then then says chair there. That's because I imported this from a different file, so it'll just have its original name there, and then give it chair next to it. So those are the basics of clean modeling and effective modeling. So make sure you do name your objects correctly, freeze the transformations, and make sure you look out for these specific stuff. I will have a info sheet or some sort of Word document on Moodle that you can look through to make sure that you know what you're doing and what you should actually look out for when modeling.